Happy Friday, Bennett Doyle.
What's up? What's up?
What a day yesterday. And I'm, of course, only talking about the NBA draft second round.
Obviously.
Obviously.
It was an eventful second round.
It was.
The
Bronny
Lakers
James
told
went.
Yeah, the Lakers told everyone not to take Bronny James.
He will go to Australia, or you will take
agent,
him.
Yeah.
I've had a change of heart.
Oh, yeah.
I never really cared.
Oh, I didn't either.
Like, you know,
yeah,
take
don't get
him.
it twisted. I actually like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nepo babies all over the place.
Yeah, dude.
We have Nepo ballers. We've had Nepo presidents in the past.
We've all leaned on our parents for
Sure
things.
have.
Yeah.
That's just life.
That's just life. We're drafting Giants today, aren't we?
We sure are.
Who's your favorite Giant? Well,
I
don't
can't
tell
tell
me.
you.
Yeah,
I
don't
can't give
tell
away
me.
a pick.
Okay.
Can't wait to see how we all took this assignment. Lang is going to do it with us,
It's going to be
too.
all over the place.
I know.
Yeah. It's going to be
That's
all
okay.
over the place.
That's okay.
What was your favorite part of the second round?
When I woke up with 2 minutes on the clock and Memphis was picking 37th, and I was like, oh my God, my body clock is literally attuned to this team so that I do not miss news at this point. That wasn't always the case. I used to sleep through news all the time because I take an afternoon nap, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I survive.
I'm not
You
really-
get it now?
No, I did yesterday because it's been a long week, but typically I'm not an afternoon napper. So, yeah, I didn't know where I was when I woke up and saw the Grizzlies were on the clock.
I'm genuinely excited about both second round picks.
Oh,
Which I don't think you can always say. Sometimes second round picks come and you're just like, all right, we'll figure it out when we get to it. But I
Right.
have reasons to care about both of them. Reasons that we will talk about on today's show. What's up, everybody? It is Friday, June 28th. Going to be a good day. The sun came up. Jessica Benson with you from the Grind City Media Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. Bennett Doyle behind the glass, filling in for CJ Hurt all week long. Today, we will wrap up the NBA draft. Round 2 was yesterday. The Grizzlies got 2 picks in the second round. Bronny James, officially a Los Angeles Laker. Lots to get into there. We will also talk some more about the Grizzlies' first round pick. Zach Edey, as Brian Nash is going to join us in our second segment. He is the athletic director at IMG Academy and oversaw the basketball program while Zach Edey was there at IMG Academy. Look forward to talking with Brian about the evolution of Edey so far, how he sees the fit here in Memphis. Then 40 minutes in, Lang Whitaker will join us. We'll talk to him about all things NBA draft from this week. Plus, we are drafting Giants. In honor of the Grizzlies drafting a Giant in Zach Edey, we'll be drafting our favorite Giants. How we take that? You'll find out in that third segment. We'll end with a little Music Friday, some new music today. Meg Thee Stallion dropped Meg the album. We have a new Camila Cabello album as well. All kinds of music to sift through and a new track on the Twisters soundtrack. And you know I am all about the Twisters movie soundtrack for this summer. It'll be a good Friday. Let's get into it. You know what we say. Cowabunga! That was better.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
LifeCare Ambulance is proud to be an official partner of the Memphis Grizzlies and FedEx Forum. At LifeCare, they wear their hearts with pride. Their passion is their people. They want you to love what you do and where you do it. Their employee-driven culture encourages a healthy work-life balance and supportive work environment. They invest in your success and well-being so that you can provide the best care for the patients that they serve. Join the incredible team of EMTs and paramedics in Memphis, Nashville, and across the nation today. Learn more at lifecareamb.com.
Now for a limited time, the new $1.99 crispy tender wraps are here at Sonic. Who could deny a crispy chicken tender with bold flavors like hickory barbecue and cheesy Baja? And we can't forget the crisp lettuce and melty cheese to make the perfect bite. Wrap yourself up with some TLC, tender, love, and chicken for only $1.99. Sonic $1.99 crispy tender wraps. Tax not included, limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
Look at the the score. Look at the score. He just did. Hey, but look at the bench, though.
Look at number 3.
Right before I walked in the locker room, Danny Ainge pulled me to the side and said, hey, Tony Allen, come here. Let me give you a little basketball etiquette. When you're down 40, do not do an in-game windmill. It's just disgusting for the game.
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I think we have the college basketball title futures. UConn's number 1.
I really like Houston. I'd have them winning it all, but you can't be giving Drake jerseys. What is wrong with you?
Maybe the Drake curse is stronger in college basketball.
How long has he been riding with Kentucky?
He wore an Alabama jersey and Saban retired.
The Odds Couple with Rob Fisher, Lang Whitaker, John Roser, and CJ Hurt live Thursdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
If you look at it as far as the number 9 pick over the years, there's been some pretty good players that have surfaced at number 9. Of course, Dirk Nowitzki, who won a championship. There's been a lot of great guys, but who knows if there is a great guy in this draft.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Feels great to feel the sunshine. Gotta own the day like it's all mine. Just got paid in his own time. Been working hard, I've been on the grind. I deserve this feeling, having my way. I've been on this healing. This is my day. The sun's out, let's have a little fun now. I wanna let it all out. That's what it's all about. Cause I deserve this feeling, have it my way. I deserve this healing. This is my day.
Grind City Media presents The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt. Live from the Grind City Media studios on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What's up, everybody? TGIF, happy Friday. We made it to the end of a long week, NBA draft week. Yesterday was a long Friday. Some real stuff happened yesterday. Bennett Doyle,
Oh, yeah.
USA lost to Panama. You didn't think that's where I was going, but that was a humiliating performance by Team USA in Copa America.
USA did lose big yesterday. My God.
Many ways.
What
Red,
a
white,
day.
and blue. A little dim this morning, but the sun did rise, and of course here in Memphis, we could talk about everything that happened yesterday, and most sports shows will spend their entirety talking about the Los Angeles Lakers taking Bronny James with the 55th pick because, according to reports, as they were doing the live broadcast yesterday, and it basically got forced out that there were threats to send Bronny James to Australia if any team other than the Los Angeles Lakers got him at 55. So, of course, the Lakers get him at 55. But we're not going to talk about Bronny James first.
Okay.
No. We have 2 new Memphis Grizzlies to discuss.
Yes, we do.
2. And, Bennett, genuine excitement from me about both of these new Memphis Grizzlies.
Well, I figured you'd be excited about getting a Pac-12
Pac-12,
legacy
RIP.
player. Yeah.
RIP.
I mean, that's very fitting that at the end of the Pac-12's great run that the Memphis Grizzlies get a player from that once great conference for you. I think they did it. I think that was a Jessica Benson pick. That was a Jessica Benson pick. Yeah.
One last throw, and I used to live close to Pullman, and big fan of Cougar Gold cheese and all that, and big fan of good shooters that come out of Washington State University. I don't know if you've heard of one. His name was Klay Thompson.
Oh, that's
he ended up being pretty good. But Jaylen Wells is who the Grizzlies take with that 37th pick. The NBA draft second round yesterday was a bizarre experience for those of us so used to watching the draft in its entirety in one night, and they switched it into an ESPN studio show, and it was in the middle of the afternoon because it couldn't conflict with the debate. But my God, it would have been nice if we had the second round of the NBA draft to go up against the debate last night. Although there were some great WNBA games on yesterday evening as well that you could do. A new episode of The Boys is what we chose to turn our channel to.
I thought you were going to say The Bear.
The Bear came out on Wednesday. It just felt more appropriate to watch The Boys last night.
Yeah,
like a little on the nose right now.
I actually need to get back on that show. I watched the first season and then just didn't
Really?
I didn't keep going.
Well, now you have to watch Gen V too.
Okay.
Like the episode we watched last night now crosses over with Gen V, which was their extra show. But anyway, I'm a big fan of The Boys. It's wild. It's a lot of violence. So if you are not into gore, maybe don't watch The Boys. But what I am into, as you said, Bennett, are players from the Pac-12. And I love Jaylen Wells. So we'll start with Jaylen Wells and then we'll get into Cam Spencer. But when you look at both of them, obviously fitting a need, they're dudes who can shoot.
Yep.
So that is what the Grizzlies identified as a need. And when it came to Cam Spencer, that's someone that they ended up trading up a couple of picks, switching with Minnesota, who ends up with their 57th pick, and then Minnesota traded that pick to Toronto. So it was all over the place. But Cam Spencer was clearly someone that they wanted, and then Jaylen Wells was who they wanted there at 37. And we love shooters. We love big wings. You can't get enough of them.
Yeah.
Jaylen Wells, though, I'm a sucker for two things. Players from the Pac-12, RIP. I won't be able to say that anymore after this year. And I'm a sucker for a good story. And I would argue that Jaylen Wells is one of the best stories from this year's NBA draft because this is a kid who did not make his varsity team in high school until he was a junior. He spent 2 years at a Division II school and then played so well there. He goes to Washington State, where sometimes productivity at the D2 level doesn't immediately translate to D1, but he had a hell of a season at Washington State, got them into the NCAA tournament in a cram-packed, talented Pac-12 conference, basketball conference, particularly this year in the final year of the Pac-12. But when you look at what Jaylen Wells did and going to WSU and shooting 42% from three, like that's going to be the notable thing that you look at when you're identifying why the Memphis Grizzlies would be interested in him. But seeing how he navigated that, when he was a freshman in high school, he was 5'8". He goes into high school, he's 5'8" as a freshman, he doesn't make varsity, he loves basketball, he wants to play, works his butt off, does a ton of work in the gym, out of the gym. He credits his parents with helping to push him into, really not taking no for an answer. By the time he's a senior, he grows to be 6'6". He is on the varsity team as a senior. He averaged 27 points, but his development is a little too late. We see this happening in recruiting all the time. He even created a social media account with some friends called Sleep Nation while they were in high school because they wanted to put spotlight on players that were being slept on, which is how he felt.
Oh, that's
but he
cool.
ultimately gets an opportunity to go play D2. And he spends 2 years at Sonoma State. He's from Sacramento, stays in the California area, Sonoma State. Second year at Sonoma State, he shoots 44% from three and 52% from the field. And that's what gets him noticed at Washington State. Goes to WSU, spends last season in Pullman. His numbers stay high, the consistency's there. And then he enters the NBA draft and gets taken 37th by the Memphis Grizzlies. This is someone who bet on himself. Could he have returned for another year at WSU? Sure. But he bet on himself and it paid out. And I love those stories in the NBA draft. That's what I'm always willing to get behind.
Yeah, that is really cool. The thing about yesterday, the thing that I just love about this draft for the Grizzlies is coming into it, what did we say the biggest needs were? Rebounding and shooting. And they addressed both of those in the draft. And so I feel really good about this draft. And I feel really good about what they did yesterday, especially with Jaylen. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I knew a lot. I didn't watch a lot of Washington State basketball, but he's 42% from three, I believe, at Washington State. The numbers don't lie. He is right now a great spot-up shooter. Now, he's got to work on his game a little bit, it appears, as far as other things, but the shooting is there right away. So we'll see, if he's a roster, if he's a two-way guy, or if he's not a two-way guy, but if he's a guy that plays more in South Haven early on, or if he's
makes the roster,
or if he's a guy that could be a part of this, because this team needs three-point shooting really bad right now.
And still figuring out what happens with Luke Kennard's player option.
Right.
And we'll see how that plays out. Here it is June 28th, so we'll know sooner than later what the future of Luke Kennard is with this team. But when it comes to both Jaylen Wells and Cam Spencer, they're not just shooters, which fills an obvious need. They feel like personality fits. We always joke about personality hires, but in reality, this Grizzlies team has such an identity behind it, and both of these guys fit within that profile. And I think that's really important anytime you're adding, especially with a team that is ready to go into the win now mode. And if you're just trying to find somebody who could give you something that aids in winning now, the fact that they also feel as if they're going to get along fine here is huge. Now with Cam Spencer, it's wild because he was talking hella trash to Zach Edey in the national championship game. So Cam Spencer, in the starting five for UConn.
He was talking trash to everybody all season long.
He was talking trash that whole game.
Yeah.
I will never forget the very beginning of that national championship game. I was like, I love this dude because he hit the very first three for UConn in the UConn-Purdue game. And he turns around and he just goes all night. And they have the slow zoom in on him, and he just has that pizzazz that he plays with. And pizzazz is nice. He's a maniac.
Yep.
He's a psycho. He's a lunatic, and I say that all so affectionately. It's my favorite kind of basketball player.
Yep.
He's crazy. You know how the trend right now on social media is is somebody going to match my freak? Have you seen those?
Yes.
Dan Hurley and Cam Spencer match each other's freak, and I mean that in a way that they are both basketball crazy people. Look at this response right there. It's all in the handshake and the hug. That's Cam Spencer drilling over Dan Hurley. There's another video from the night of the national championship where he's in the locker room after. Check this out. His teammate posted this, and Cam Spencer is just dribbling throughout the locker room after they win a national title.
Yo, you Husky fans, you want to know how crazy he is? He's still dribbling around like he's working out. Yo, Cam, it's okay. It's okay to put the ball down now. We won.
We have practice tomorrow. I got to keep dribbling. This guy is nutso, and I love that about him because it's just a good energy guy, and he is someone who you would anticipate could be a potential two-way player for the Grizzlies, might spend some more time in South Haven, but he's not a stash kind of player. He's 24 years old. He's one of those players who shows up for his final year, which was played at UConn. He spent 3 years at Loyola. He actually played with Santi Aldama, so you have a reunion there, which is very cool. He played 1 year at Rutgers, and then he finishes out at UConn. And as we had that extra COVID year and all those players who you think to yourself, how are they still playing college basketball? He is one of those guys, but he didn't have as much notoriety. And yet, in 1 year in UConn, if you ask anybody, I have a friend who's a massive UConn Huskies fan, he's one of the most beloved players to come through there with these last two teams that have won national titles there. He was just an instant lovable guy because of that kind of behavior. And it doesn't hurt that he also is a great shooter. And he also shot 44% from three this season and 48% from the field. And he is 6'3" with a 6'5" wingspan, 200 pounds. And it just feels as if the Grizzlies got two guys who legitimately could. This is what we do after the draft. I know this is what we do after trying to convince yourself that these could be guys who help a team ultimately try to win a championship someday, or at least compete in their conference. And I think you can talk yourself into both of them.
For sure.
They're cool dudes.
So when they made the Jaylen Wells pick yesterday, Chip Williams, who you had on the show earlier this week, he put this out, and they clearly had something in mind with especially the first round of the draft, obviously. But he said the Grizzlies haven't had the best positional size, especially after Steven Adams' departure. Their last three picks, this is before the Cam pick, their last three picks were 6'9" Gigi Jackson, 7'5" Zach Edey, and 6'8" Jaylen Wells. So clearly they addressed the size issue with the draft, obviously starting with Gigi and then these last two.
And if you throw Gigi, I saw somebody, I wish I could give them credit because I forget who put it out there, but we've always talked about how Gigi Jackson should have been in this draft, and if he was in this draft, he could have been top 5, could have been a number 1 pick. So if you throw in last year, because last year felt like such a horrible year for the Grizzlies with injuries and everything, but the silver linings you get are Vince and Gigi, and would you have been able to understand what they really were for you, if not for the chance for them to have such high usage last year? If you think of Gigi Jackson included, tacked on to this year's draft, that's a hell of a draft for the Memphis Grizzlies going into next year.
No question.
So obviously one of those, before we get to Zach Edey and talking to the athletic director from IMG Academy who worked with Zach Edey when he was there before he went to Purdue, before he becomes the number 9 pick for the Memphis Grizzlies. Were you surprised that David Jones didn't get picked? University of Memphis ends up signing, or reportedly signed, a two-way with the Sixers.
No, I wasn't surprised just because there's a lot of guys that can put the ball in the basket, right? That were available to be drafted. I mean, that's what he's good at, right? He is a scorer. But that's his game. We saw at Memphis. He's not getting assists. He's just a scorer. And I think that it probably didn't help that the team was bad. It probably didn't help that he didn't have good assist numbers. For a guy that's probably gonna play shooting guard. He's a tweener too. Like I don't know, is he a shoot? He's too small to be a small forward, but that's probably like what he should be. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not that surprised by it, but he lands in a great spot in Philly. Like that's really good for him. I'm happy for David Jones.
I'm happy he gets an opportunity somewhere,
Yeah.
even if it didn't come via the NBA draft. All right, we got to take a quick break. Brian Nash from IMG Academy is going to join us on the other side. He was the head of basketball at IMG Academy when Zach Edey was there. He's now the athletic director, VP of athletics at IMG. We'll catch up with him about what he has seen in the growth of Zach Edey, someone who saw him from the very beginning, who saw potential there, and now has seen him drafted in the top 10, number 9 by the Memphis Grizzlies. Brian Nash on the other side.
Shall we talk about our favorite NBA Finals MVPs? Number 3 is a little bit of Canadian history because it's the first and only NBA championship that the country as a whole has. I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard's second Finals MVP. I still get my little heart warm even thinking about it, and I was there watching every game. IMHO with Lang Whitaker and me, Kelsey Wright Johnson, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
The Indiana Fever have to do something. You cannot let her get hit like this.
No.
Because it's not just you're allowing people to think this is okay. It's you're allowing her to think that you don't have her back.
Yes.
Like whatever you think of her on a personal level, she is wherever you're going. If you're a member of that franchise, wherever you're going, it's where she's taking you.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. We have another edition. This will be the third edition of the Debate Club. You guys are going to sell a shoe to Mr. Bennett Doyle, our producer over here.
Oh, yeah.
I saw these.
Go. I've seen these.
I saw these on social media too.
It's the perfect house shoe.
I know, right?
Like, yeah, it's not even a house shoe. I bet you they're really comfortable. You know, you heard of unisex. This is unifoot. Oh my God.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Mike did his favorite black films of all time. Mike, where we at?
If there's one movie I know every single line to, it is Coming to America.
There we go.
It is Coming to America. It can come on any time of any day, and I'm going to stop and watch at least 20 minutes of it.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Welcome Welcome back. Later tonight, this Friday, the Memphis Grizzlies will officially introduce Zach Edey and Jaylen Wells to the media. That's going to be a press conference at 5 o'clock tonight. It will be live streamed on Grizzlies.com, the Grizzlies YouTube channel, the official Grizzlies mobile app, and Bally Sports Southeast digital platform. So all kinds of places to watch tonight's press conference where you will get to hear from Zach Edey for the first time since being taken number 9 by the Memphis Grizzlies in this year's draft. Before Zach Edey was a 2-time National Player of the Year, before he was a member of the Memphis Grizzlies, he was at IMG Academy, and I'm really excited for this next guest. We welcome in Brian Nash, Athletic Director at IMG Academy and VP of Athletics, someone who has known Zach Edey a long time. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. How are you this morning?
No, I'm doing great, Jessica. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Before we get into Zach Edey of the past, I'll just ask you off the bat, what was your initial reaction seeing Zach go number 9 to the Memphis Grizzlies and watching him celebrate there with friends, family, and teammates?
Yeah, it was amazing. But it's something we've come to see from Zach, where he keeps, he keeps exceeding expectations and he keeps surprising us in everything that he does. So just super proud and just really happy for him and his family.
All right, so take me back. When is the first time that you remember seeing Zach Edey, and how did that relationship begin for you guys?
Yeah, so before I got to IMG, I was a college coach for 25 years, and one of our former players up in Toronto had sent me a video, just shot it to me on my phone and said, "Hey, you got to take a look at this kid that's playing on our AAU team. He's just starting out to play basketball. He was playing baseball, and I'll never forget the clip. I mean, it was just a clip in a gym of him doing some of the most basic drills. And, you fast forward a couple of months, he actually came down to campus for an Under Armour grassroots event. And we were going to have a chance to evaluate him, look at him a little bit. And he actually rolled his ankle, so we really didn't get a chance to see him play. But we got to spend time with him and his mom, and over time, we just said, all right, hey, this is something that we want to, invest in his future. And we thought he could be a really good fit for us at the academy.
Was it entirely the size at that point, or what else did you see from Zach Edey? Someone who hadn't played basketball all that long, he had played hockey and baseball. I'm just curious what those intangibles were for you, where you said this is someone that I think is worth taking a flyer on.
Yeah, it was. The more basketball people you talk to about size, size is always, you talk about it being a piece of clay that you're able to mold because, they're never finished products. So, but he had great hands and he had great feet. And honestly, he was a great kid. The way we met him on that trip and how he looked you in the eye and he was respectful. He's humble. He's a very humble person. And I think the entitlement part of where youth basketball is now, it's something that he didn't have. So, and honestly, I think it's one of the reasons why he continues to be successful and keep getting better is because he is humble.
Yeah, and I love what you said. He's still a moldable product going forward, someone who has always shown. You don't often see a player who wins National Player of the Year come back better, right? That's such a testament to who Zach is as a player and a person.
Yeah, the questions, if you go after, 2 years ago when he was the National Player of the Year the first time, and you start talking about the draft and all those things, and people start saying, oh, well, how's he going to be in ball screen coverage, and what position is he going to play? People are just going to expose him. And then you look at what he did in 1 year's time to kind of dispel a lot of those things from what, the NBA people and the front office people were looking at, for some of the shortcomings in his game, and he obviously improved on it. And, the ultimate thing with Zach is he's only been playing for 5 or 6 years. So some of these guys that have been drafted or are in the league have been playing for a lot longer. So, knowing him and his work ethic and how he's just going to, he's had a chip on his shoulder because he wasn't a 5-star. He was an unknown. He came out of basically nowhere and was able to get him to this level. So I've learned not to bet against him after this time.
I was going to ask, because as a guy with a chip on his shoulder, he fits in rather well in Memphis. This is a team that operates from a place of chips on shoulders, whether it be John Morant or Desmond Bane, who we will often find ourselves reminding that 29 teams passed on Desmond Bane. And now you have Zach Edey, who was one of the more polarizing picks from the first round of the draft. And there is some questions about what he will be in the NBA. There are some people who thought that it was an absolutely great home run pick for the Memphis Grizzlies and others who are a little more skeptical. And by operating with that chip on the shoulder, I'm curious how you think Zach Edey is approaching that, some of the negativity that might be out there at this point as he gears up to start this journey in Memphis.
Yeah, I'm sure he's using it again as motivation. I mean, it's, the good thing about the situation he's going into, like he's going into a really good team. He's going to a team that's got a lot of pieces in place, and he's not going to have the weight of the world on his shoulders. And they've obviously put a lot of time into evaluating him and seeing how he fits and how he can play within the system that they're going to have. So again, I think it's perfect fit for him, and the pressure is not going to be there. And I think he's going to be able to evolve at his pace and learn the league. So again, but the chip on the shoulder thing is there, and I'm sure all the naysayers that are questioning why he's there, he's just going to use it as continued motivation like he's done everything else.
In terms of the fit, and from your perspective, someone who has seen his game grow from IMG to Purdue, when it comes to exactly how he fits with this Memphis group, be it Ja in the pick and roll or Jaren as a spacer, where do you think Zach can really flourish in what he brings to the game and can make an immediate impact here with the Grizzlies?
Yeah, I think, the one thing that the Grizzlies do well, too, they shoot the ball well. I mean, they've got perimeter shooting. So the thing that we've always talked about, the game has gotten so spread out, but yet when you look at his one-on-one ability in the post, and it's something that you don't see as much in the game anymore. And, if you have really good shooting and you can space the floor and he can get one-on-ones in the post, he's proven that he can score on people, and he's just developed a nastiness and a physicality in the post. So I think that's something that you saw what he did game after game. All the way up till national championship game, scoring a lot of points and being able to take advantage of one-on-ones in the post. Will he have to still evolve in ball screens and, playing with somebody that's so dynamic as Ja? There's going to be some learning curves there a little bit, but I know that he'll put the time in and he'll get the reps.
I know you mentioned that he actually had some pretty good speed for his size, and one of the critiques is foot speed and athleticism. Matt Painter, the coach at Purdue, was on my colleague Gary Parrish's show yesterday and said he's more athletic than people think. Do you agree with that, and where do you see some of the knocks on Zach maybe actually being better than expected in terms of his game?
Yeah, like I said it earlier, just look at the improvements that I think he made in his foot quickness, because he went through, he was educated on the draft process last year, and I'm sure that Matt did a great job with them talking to teams and where his shortcomings were. And if you look at his ball screen coverage from year to year, look at his athleticism and how he goes out of his space to get rebounds, how he can dunk over people. He's a lot more athletic than people I think are giving him credit for.
Is there anything that you think people would be surprised about Zach Edey, either with his game or as a person? You've known him for a long time. What's something people in Memphis would be surprised to learn about him?
No, he's a great young man. I think he came from a great family. I think, the job that he's done at Purdue, the time that he spent here, he's learned a lot of things, and he's been through a lot of situations that are going to set him up for success here. And he's going to be great in the community. He's going to be a great teammate. He's going to be again, if you're looking at it from, the front office side and having somebody in your organization that, is, he's reliable and you know what you're going to get from him. I think he's just going to continue to get better.
When he first showed up, is it true that you were worried that you wouldn't have a bed big enough for him at IMG Academy? And did you actually have a bed that was big enough?
So it is something that we have to deal with from time to time here when we have our, we just had another Canadian in our program this year who was 7'7". So, we kind of gave him the single room and the king bed so that he could kind of sleep sideways a little bit. But no, it was, I did tell the story a little bit yesterday about his first year on campus where he was this 16, 17-year-old living on his own, and you walk into his room and you see the video games and the candy on the desk, and he's like, all right, this is vacation. I'm living on my own. So to see him evolve with, the nutrition and living and the holistic side of him understanding how important it is to be, a high-level athlete was fun to see.
Matt Painter also said yesterday he's never seen anybody eat like Zach Edey. Like he just consumed. I mean, he's a big man, so he has to consume a large amount of food. So he will be a benefit to the Memphis economy as well, I think.
He will.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian. We really appreciate you giving some extra perspective and love everything that you guys are doing down there at IMG Academy and wish you nothing but the best.
Thanks, Jessica. Great to be here.
Thank you. That was Brian Nash, athletic director at IMG Academy. IMG Academy with 2 players selected in this year's draft. Also saw Terrence Shannon out of Illinois get taken yesterday. Last year, they had 3 players taken in the first round, so they continue to get more and more guys from IMG Academy who, weird, they happen to end up being pretty good basketball players. It's one of those things is we've seen more and more international players, and I know we joked about Viva la France, but there's reality to it with 4 Frenchmen being taken in the first round yesterday, or 2 days ago now at this point. But IMG Academy replicates a little bit more of that like trade school approach, which international players are getting from the jump, right? Like once someone is tall and going to be a basketball player overseas, that is their life path moving forward. Whereas here, it's always been the college athlete or the college basketball approach, and we've seen, things evolve with college athletics, surely, but places like IMG Academy that just pop out really, really solid, not just basketball, football, all the sports. They do it all down there.
All the sports, yeah.
I would have never been recruited to go to
IMG
IMG Academy.
Been to IMG, I wouldn't have either.
I was not a high-profile high school athlete or anything in between. But big appreciation for Brian Nash. I thought Gary's conversation with Matt Painter was awesome yesterday, too. If you have not seen that, check it out. You can find it on the Grind City Media YouTube page. We'll take a break. Lang Whitaker is going to join us on the other side. We'll get his takes on the Grizzlies taking Zach Edey, on their second-round picks from yesterday, on Bronny James going to the Los Angeles Lakers, and any other big surprises that he thought came out of this year's NBA draft. We'll be right back.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
We have another edition. This will be the 3rd edition of the Debate Club. You guys are going to sell a shoe to Mr. Bennett Doyle, our producer over here.
Oh, yeah.
I saw these.
I've seen these.
I saw these on social media, too.
It's the perfect house shoe.
I know, right?
Like, it's not even a house shoe. I bet you they're really comfortable. You heard of unisex. This is unifoot. Oh, my God.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Almost lost a girlfriend in the Spring River one time.
Because you pushed her off the boat?
Yeah, no, she fell off and then her foot got caught in some stones, like in a current.
You didn't save her, so who did?
I don't remember. Somebody did.
Her foot just jarred loose.
Current husband.
Yeah. Like, I'm not Michael Phelps. There ain't no sense in both of us dying.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
The Grizz Girls are no ordinary dance team. They're known across the NBA for setting the standard for world-class dance and entertainment. From hip-hop to jazz, the Grizz Girls do it all. And they're looking for talented dancers with dynamic personalities to join the team. Do you have what it takes to join a premier NBA dance team and entertain Grizz Nation both on the court and in the community? Visit grizzlies.com/auditions now for more information and show us what you've got at open auditions Saturday, July 13th.
Shall we talk about our favorite NBA Finals MVPs? Number 3 is a little bit of Canadian history because it's the first and only NBA championship that the country as a whole has. I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard's second Finals MVP. I still get my little heart warm even thinking about it, and I was there watching every game. IMHO with Lang Whitaker and me, Kelsey Wright Johnson, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back. It is Friday. Yes, that means it's time to catch up with Lang Whitaker in
up?
studio. How are you,
I'm
Lang?
here. I'm here.
You have
I'm
a
here.
coffee.
It's been a long week.
Happy
yeah.
draft week. We made it. We did it. Did you tune in to the second round of the NBA draft yesterday afternoon?
Did. Yeah, I was at home doing stuff, and so I put it on in the background. And
I took the sweetest nap.
I saw you tweet
at the
about that.
beginning. I will say, I know not everybody has the luxury of taking a midweek afternoon nap, but my
Midweek,
schedule
midday.
is exactly.
double
so,
mid.
but that's how I survive life, and especially coming off the draft. I was ready to zonk yesterday afternoon, and my body clock timed up where I woke up at the exact time that the Grizzlies were making the 37th pick, which was just beautiful accidental timing. But I will say, I think NBA draft afternoon naps rival golf naps.
The best is soccer nap, though.
Oh, a soccer nap is great.
Because you don't get commercials for 45 minutes
That's
straight.
true.
Yeah.
Baseball naps are pretty good, too.
I have $1 million idea, and I should probably not say it out loud on television,
give it
but
to
I'll
us.
say it now.
Thank you.
For, you know how some people use, like, I believe you might be one of these people, use like a white noise app to sleep?
I use a machine.
All right. But a sleep machine, the noise apps. I want to do a sports sleep machine app.
Okay.
Noise. So like you could have golf sound effects
I actually love that.
in the background. You could have tennis. You could have soccer. You know, maybe if you're a heavier sleeper, you could have basketball. Just, you know, sneakers, the ball bouncing.
I like
That's
that
a
a
good
lot.
And you could even add because my wife listens to the stories, the calm stories, like the people with
the
beautiful
ASMR
voices.
thing. Yeah,
dude, what if you did? Because I like to listen to if I'm having trouble falling asleep, I like to listen to a podcast or like a show just that I like The Office, where I don't have to look at it. I'm used to it, so I can just hear it.
Yep.
Like if you had like a Sports Center type
Ooh, I
show,
got an idea.
but
Sign
it's
me
a
up.
great voice, just being like
Jim Nance.
yeah, like
Oh, yes.
the
Jim
Grizzlies.
Nance.
The
Good
Grizzlies
evening,
last
friends.
night drafted Jaylen Wells.
Good night, friends.
Yeah, like that's
Well,
Your
have you seen
sporting
like for the
news
Olympics,
tonight.
they're gonna have this Al Michaels AI thing this year.
Yes.
They have like an
I just
AI
saw
generated Al Michaels voice that's gonna like narrate things. Like, what if we had that? Let's sign up Al Michaels 3000 for this also.
But it has to be like a different tone of their voice. It can be their voice, but it can't be Al Michaels yelling.
He never
Do
yells.
you believe in? Do you
Al
believe
Michaels
in
hasn't
miracles?
yelled. That was 50 years ago. He hasn't yelled. He's been doing Amazon for
even
2
if
years
you-
and nobody's heard from him.
Dude.
Like we got
with absolutely zero, doing playoff games with absolutely zero
That's
enthusiasm.
been
It's
the
perfect
complaint for
this.
Al Michaels. That he has no.
Perfect.
Let's get the Al Michaels 3000 and Jim Nance 3000's
Oh, it'd be
voice
so
in here.
Soothing.
we could do this right now. By the way, I mean we have microphones.
We have
can
it copyrighted
record stuff.
because I
Yeah.
said it out loud on this program. All right, so like we
Okay.
own this copyright.
TM,
no one
yeah.
I
steal
have
this
to be
idea.
honest.
Touch it. This is our
ASMR is
idea.
big on TikTok.
Yeah.
And the thought of doing like a weekly "This is what you missed in sports" ASMR
Yeah.
might just be. It might be the big break that I've been waiting for on the Tickety Talkety app.
All right.
I don't know.
We got lots
you have
of-
to do. You have to do the little like. That's what they always do. They go. Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good night. I'm here to tell you that yesterday the Grizzlies, with the 37th pick.
Why do they do the nails?
I don't know. People love the sound of nails.
Yeah, it's like that lady that like eats stuff in the microphone, and people love that for some reason.
Or like even
Yeah.
just like taking a lip gloss and it's like. Oh, I didn't do it the second time. All right, I think we're on to something.
My son and I made sushi the other night, and I had the sheet of like the kelp,
sushi.
you know,
Yes,
or whatever it is. And I cut it with the knife, and when it made like this click sound as I cut it. My son goes, "That's so satisfying."
Your son is chronically online.
He might be. Yeah, he's
like
part of
all
this
the
thing.
children,
Yeah.
like all the kids are.
I've had a horrible week because I had dental problems all week, and I spent so much time at the dentist this week.
That's the worst ASMR.
The worst pain in the world. But the night after the draft, we were there till late at the Southland Casino doing the live draft show. I had a 7:30 a.m. appointment at the dentist the next morning, and my teeth were just killing me. And I go in there and I sit down, and immediately the woman walks in and says, "All right, tell me about Zach Edey." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know."
I went to drop off a package at FedEx yesterday, and the person goes, "So what do you think about Zach Edey?"
At one point,
and I had like my AirPods in.
They gave me all the shots in my mouth, and then you have to wait like 10 minutes.
Biggest pet peeve.
And I'm sitting there waiting, and they all come in, like 5 people come in and start asking me about Zach Edey and the Grizzlies draft, and I'm like, oh.
I love when and I love them. I love my dentists.
I do too.
I love my dental technicians. But I cannot answer your questions when my mouth is either completely numb or half open.
Or I
and
have
can't
like
do
5 dental implements stuffed into half of my mouth, pulling in different directions at the same time.
That's so funny. So what did you tell her? What did you think about Zach Edey? The morning after and where you sit now?
It was
beautiful.
When the draft happened, and I thought it was kind of funny because on the live show, Fish, I was on with Bennett and Fish, and they were both like gung-ho about Zach Edey, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sold quite yet. And then Grind City Media put out the clip, and they were like, here, look at Fish and Bennett's reactions to the draft. I was like, oh, didn't put mine.
You didn't like mine? That's weird.
But the more videos I watched of it, and the more I've heard like smart people talk about this, the more sense it makes to me, and the more enthusiastic I am about it. But in the moment, I was kind of like, okay, like, he seemed slow against UConn when I watched that game. But then the more I think about it, like how often, like the problem with college basketball is it's so chaotic. The NBA is more structured, and there's a lot more, even when you're playing fast, there's a lot more sets of half-court things and things like that. I think he's going to fit in fine.
I do too, and I got to the point yesterday where I realized it's a bit of a personality test, and I'm not saying it's a positive or a negative either way. It's just how certain people react differently to things, and we'll put it in the universe of sports and drafts. And if you get to the point on the day after the draft, and there is enough tangible reason to believe in the vision that a front office has, there are positive people who will latch onto it and say, all right, I can flirt with this vision, and sure, we're not going to know what it turns into until we actually see it with our own eyes, but I can think to myself that Zach Edey can fit into this center role that makes the lives of teammates easier, a la a Steven Adams. And he's not going to be Steven Adams from day one, obviously, but someone who can rebound, set screens, finish lobs, finish in the paint, does have a decent, I know we don't do post-ups in the NBA anymore, but has a decent post-up, and maybe you bring it back with Zach Edey. And then there are other people who will say, I never wanted this to happen, I cannot envision this happening, and I refuse to buy into it. And that's their prerogative too, but I'm an excitable person.
I would
so
say
I'm
this
all
is
in.
not the shockingest draft pick I've ever seen.
I don't think so.
Well, that's what Yahoo said. They said, worst pick ever, let's give it a C. They
changed it to a D.
Whatever.
The next morning.
I would also just say, like, let's see this. Let's see it happen. Let's see,
right.
Steven Adams fit in here pretty well. He's not like a track star. Like, maybe Zach Edey is slower than the other guys on the court, but I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like, let's see what happens.
And I'm excited to see just like the physical look of Zach Edey standing next to John Morant.
I want to see him stand next to Jaren and be like 6 inches taller than Jaren. And we're so
being
used to seeing Jaren dwarf everybody. Yeah.
I mean, I brought it up with Kelsey yesterday. It does remind me of when Victor Wembanyama rolled through here the first time last season. I know different body type, but still, it's just these freakishly tall human beings who, when you are down on court level with them or anywhere near them, it's absurd. Like, you're like, how is somebody this tall?
Would you say he's a giant?
I would say he's a giant, which is why we're going to draft giants, which we're going to take in so many different directions, I have a feeling. I do want to ask about the Grizzlies' 2 second-round picks from yesterday. The second round is always such a hodgepodge of, like, there's the real, like, truthers of the NBA draft who know a little bit about everybody, and everybody else gets on board with the second-round pick. I will say, when it comes to Jaylen Wells, as a Pac-12 truther myself.
Yes, you are.
I do like Jaylen Wells, and I did watch Jaylen Wells play basketball, and even into the NCAA tournament this year. He's a great shooter.
I don't know anything about him. I'm just glad we got a guy named Jaylen. Seems like everyone else in the NBA has a Jaylen.
You know what?
We needed a Jaylen.
I think you're onto something.
Yeah,
Jaylen with
true.
a Y. We have a lot of different spellings of Jaylen at this point.
Yeah.
Jaylen. When it comes to him, Sean Coleman put this out, and we love Sean Coleman,
Sean's
and
the
always
best.
comes with the stats. He said Jaylen Wells is one of the most prolific single-season three-point shooters Memphis has ever drafted. Only Desmond Bane has a more productive NCAA single-season shooting from three. Wells creating nearly 80% of his two-point shots suggests self-creation and three-level scoring upside. And I was reading about him this morning. He was actually a point guard in high school. He was a 6'6" point guard his senior year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also read that one of the negatives on his draft thing was that he was a reluctant shooter in the paint. I was like, well, great. We don't need shooting in the paint. I know Taylor Jenkins always talks about points in the paint, but
we've got that covered.
Somebody else, let Zach Edey do that.
Right.
You just stand outside and shoot threes. We'll be
Let
good.
Ja do that.
Yeah.
And that's where with Zach Edey, you don't want Zach Edey to clog the paint. But, we saw it with Steven at
We need to
work.
get rebounds. Yeah.
We need desperately, please, to the rebounding gods.
Yeah.
As it comes to Cam from UConn,
Yeah.
do you remember watching him in the national
Very
championship
little.
game?
I just remember I was watching it actually because I watched some Zach Edey this season and I was excited to see them in the championship game. I was actually in Augusta going to the Masters the next day during the national championship game, and I drove in and got there during the game, so I didn't really watch it that closely. I just remember turning on and UConn was just beating Purdue like a drum the whole game.
Yeah. They fed Edey over and over and over.
Well, Edey was
and
awesome
UConn
in the
still
game.
wins by 15.
It was just nobody else on Purdue was any good.
That was their whole game plan.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Zach Edey's going to go off for 37, but no one else is going to do anything, and you're going to make one single three in this game. It is interesting from the UConn starting five, Donovan Clingan, and it's the he who should not be named at this point in Memphis, but goes to the Trailblazers at 7. You add Tristan Newton to the Spurs at 4. And then who else did you have? Cam Spencer, obviously, at 53.
Castle.
Tristan Newton. That's what
You
I meant.
mentioned him.
I meant Castle at 4, and Tristan Newton at 49 to the Pacers. And then even their fifth starter, he returns to UConn this year, is expected to be a first rounder next year, which is a hell of a starting five. And that's why Dan Hurley goes back and is let's see if we can do this with another crop of a lot of players coming back.
He
some
wasn't
new
close
ones
enough to
coming in.
LeBron to get a gig with the Lakers.
All right, let's talk about the Lakers, Lang, because they took Bronny
Yeah, talk about
James
your
with the 55th
Pac-12
pick.
truthers. Yeah.
Watched
You
a
watched
lot
some
of
Bronny James. He
at
went to your
USC.
school.
He did.
Yeah.
I was happy to see Isaiah Collier get drafted where he did. I don't have any issue with this. I really don't, from a standpoint of how dare the Lakers capitulate to LeBron, and first he gets his podcasting friend JJ Redick hired as coach, and then he gets his son on the team. That's how the world works. I understand people want to complain about it, but that's how the world works at every single stage. And I know Woj talked about it on the broadcast yesterday. The NBA is littered with nepotism, from front offices to coaching trees to agents. It makes perfect sense.
I got news for you. The world is
kids.
littered with nepotism.
Exactly.
It's not
every
just the
single
NBA.
industry.
Yeah.
That's why Nepo babies became a thing in the last couple of years because suddenly there was a spotlight on celebrities' kids.
Yeah.
Or celebrities are often the children of other celebrities in music, in movies, in TV.
Entertainment.
And then in the business world. And then in the, what about the family business? Even you go back, strip away the glitz and glam of high-paying rich people, the good old family business of the dad who owns the
paint shop,
the hardware store, the
on
paint
Main
shop,
Street,
and passes it down to his son in most cases. But maybe we could be progressive and pass it down to the daughters as well. But it's just one of those things where we see this. I believe it's just because it's LeBron James, and he's in the single name territory.
I think so
and
too.
celeb
The other
status.
thing is that it's because they used a draft pick.
Okay.
They could have not drafted Bronny James
And then
and signed
signed
him. I don't think anyone was, what was the 55th overall?
Right.
There was 3 more picks after that. You could have waited, but the going through the whole thing of going to the combine and going through the interviews, and they spent hours on that draft yesterday talking about this pick and this. I think that's the part that bothers most people, was that the Lakers used a draft pick when they could have just signed him and drafted somebody else. Although at that point in the draft, honestly, if you look at the guys who got drafted in the last 10 picks and compare them to Bronny, there's not that much difference.
That's why,
it's all upside, right?
Why are we having these kind of conversations around a 55th draft pick?
It's because of the pick part.
It's the pick, and it's because everyone talked about it ad nauseum too.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the obsessive media coverage backfires. We've seen it even in the WNBA space, and luckily, please, knock on wood, fingers crossed, it's slowed down a little bit. And I know the Fever got to be introduced to the Seattle Storm last night, and that was an experience, and meet Jewel Lloyd, who was phenomenal. But like when the conversation is so much and so aggressive and so like polarizing, it has the reverse effect where nobody wants it to happen because you just get sick of it. And that's not his fault.
That's not Bronny or LeBron's fault. And I think
fault.
if you gave them the choice, like they would be fine with none of this being talked about ever.
Just like I believe Caitlin Clark would be fine with none of the extra stuff being talked about, or anyone who becomes kind of the center focus on any conversation. My thing with it is, if I'm Bronny James, I don't want to play with my dad necessarily. And that's no disrespect to like family dynamics. Like I would have wanted to carve my own path. And I think it's a really difficult situation. We'll never know. I'm not going to pretend to know Bronny James's mind and heart. And maybe his lifelong dream is to play with his dad.
Although there's interviews where he talks about he wants to carve his own path.
Yes. And it's just like, let him be. Let him live. You're a young adult. That's when you find yourself. And I cannot imagine going on my first day of the job, especially in a job as like team-oriented and relationship-oriented as a basketball team, and being that closely working with a family, just a family member.
Okay, counterpoint. If you want to carve your own path, you're Bronny James. Like, what better place to do it than a place where, for the first year or two at least, you've got the backing of the most important employee of the franchise. You've got the backing of
you have utmost
your
security.
boss is the guy that your dad hired.
Yeah.
You know, like for Bronny for the next year or two, he'll have a little leeway. Like, and also like, when you started a new company, like you don't know, where do I go get, notebooks for my desk, whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's all these questions. Who do I call when I need this done?
Right.
Call your dad. Like he knows everything at this point. You got a couple years to Bronny's what, 19? Like you got a couple years to kind of get your feet under you and figure this thing out and get some momentum going forward. And maybe he doesn't play for the Lakers his whole life.
Maybe. I do like the running bit of LeBron James is sleeping with his new teammate's mom.
I saw that, yeah.
That was a pretty funny little bit. And I guess even thinking about, when my first job out of college, my husband worked there. Like he was there first. And
when my son's
enjoyed getting to know the company through him and having help.
When my son's old enough to go look for a job, if he calls me and like, hey, I want to do something in sports. Okay, great. Let me help.
Same.
Yeah. Oh, and like, listen, I grew up in the college sports space. And so I recognize that I was very privileged to be a part of a lot of conversations and like have.
You're a Nepo baby.
I am. Technically. I sure am. Yeah. And figuring out how to, but for me, like I was so, before Nepo babies were a thing, I was so self-conscious of ever having anybody feel as if I got something because of somebody else and not on my own merit, that I almost worked in like reverse. Like I probably did not take advantage of connections that I should have and could have because I was so fearful of being labeled, which is so stupid looking back on it. I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, why was I so... But I don't know if that's a gender thing. As a girl, as a young woman in sports especially, there's already enough conversation of like, she only got this because of X, Y, and Z.
I did not have any connections when I got into sports, and I just stuck my foot in the door and plowed my way in, and then worked my butt off for to prove yourself. And like, I would hope that like, okay, maybe if I can crack the door for someone to help them get in, great. But then at some point, like you got to do the work.
You take it over on your own.
At some point, it's going to be on your name, not your dad's name or your mom's name.
Although there are some people who manage to just stumble through on the waves of nepotism.
Born on third base and think they hit a triple.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, let's draft
let's
Giants.
Talk about the debate.
Because, yes, the debate. Did you watch?
Yes.
The whole thing?
No, I went and played Fortnite halfway through.
We turned on the boys.
It's like, I can't do it.
Which also wasn't exactly the best detachment because the boys is so politically.
I saw someone say, I'm going to go calm down and watch Uncut Gems. Like, that's what it felt like.
I watched a man, like, throw his arm into a body and rip the heart right out and all of the guts spill onto the floor. And I'm like, well, this is at least a little bit more enjoyable than the alternative at this moment, which is really saying something. I will be curious what the ratings were. I was talking to Bennett before because we are all chronically online media people, and so we see so much attention put on the debate and response to the debate. But how many normal, average Americans turned on the debate last night? Or do they just take the responses to the debate?
My dad said he wasn't going to watch it.
My mom didn't watch it. She couldn't take it.
He was like, I don't care. I'm fine.
She couldn't do it.
I bet there's a lot of people who didn't watch,
We started it, and then I had to turn it off, and then we turned it back on, and then we lasted another 15 minutes.
What was on against it? Was there anything?
There was WNBA games.
Yeah, but there weren't, like baseball, there weren't it's Thursday night.
I mean, it was on all the big networks, right?
It was everywhere.
It was on every network.
They put it on every single network. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. They should have really thrown out hey, Caitlin Clark's playing basketball tonight. Would you like to do anything else? Caitlin Clark is on the court. They're going to lose at the Storm, but
somebody said they should have asked them about Caitlin Clark.
It was funny. My dad, I know. What is your take on Caitlin Clark? That's how we should pick presidents on takes on Caitlin Clark on if
and
they
golf.
can.
That was to me that was the most relatable part of the whole thing was the golf
What's your
discussion.
handicap these days?
Oh, it's a 6.
Of course, mine might be an 8.
6. Come on.
It reminded me when I used to.
I'll tell you what. Neither of those guys has a single-digit handicap.
No, there ain't no way.
No.
No way in hell.
Maybe never in their life have either of them had a single-digit handicap. I've seen both their swings.
Yeah.
But the funniest part is when Biden says his handicap got down to a 6 while he was Trump looks to the side and goes like.
The facial expressions, the 2 box doesn't help anything. I think ultimately it was just a reminder, and even the discussions on the debate coming out of it, this has turned into a reality television show.
Yeah.
The substance doesn't matter. It's how one presents himself. And unfortunately for Joe Biden, he looked weak, and that's why the conversation's coming out of it, and he couldn't keep all trains of thoughts. And even though he actually gained momentum at the end, and if you watch his post game, I hate that we talk about it in sporting terms too. It drives me bonkers.
His rally afterwards.
But his rally after, he was a million times better than he was in the debate. And and then Trump, on the other hand, is still strong, but he's spewing nonsense. Every single thing they have fact checking
presentation
going
matters.
on.
I think that's your takeaway.
Presentation matters.
One of my golf buddies I play with, we were texting when the golf exchange happened, and one of them was like, you know what? Let's just November 1st. The match. Let's have these 2 guys go play golf. Whoever wins gets to be the president.
It's horrible. I've seen
I'd be up
people
for
be
that.
like, whoever can turn a PDF into.
Someone said give them both a Roku remote control, and whoever starts a movie gets to be the president.
All that too.
Whoever can fix a smart TV that gets off the wrong input first wins.
Without,
it's the
without
little
calling
things.
their son and saying, "How do I do this?" Yeah.
That's why you have kids, so that they can help at this point. It was something.
Nepo babies.
Lots of Nepo babies. Yeah. That's how we are at. Not Nepo babies, giants. Although a giant Nepo baby would be something to behold. We decided to draft giants. It is a draft day.
By the way, my wife just texted me and said, "Happy anniversary."
Oh, that's so sweet.
But I didn't.
You had no idea. That's horrible.
I'm responding. I was waiting until tonight. Is that a good one?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I think you're on it. I think you're fine.
You think so? Yeah.
What year is this?
I don't know.
Oh, come on.
Come on, man.
Feels like 20.
Bennett, how many years have you been married?
10. We celebrated 10 last year. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Did a big California trip. Yeah.
We'll celebrate 2 this
there you
summer.
go.
We're just babies in the marriage game. But we've been together for 12. I always feel like I have to. You say, "Oh, I'm celebrating my 2nd wedding anniversary,"
we were
and people
together.
be like, "Oh, that's so cute. You guys are so new to the game." I'm like, no.
We were together for 5 years before we got married too.
Yeah.
So
It's a long haul. Okay.
Anyway, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Happy giant draft. Do we have a way, Kyra, to determine the ordering of this draft?
Oh.
Sometimes we have a duck race, but it's usually just for 2 people, and we have 3 people today, so I don't want to put her off.
What's the?
I'll let you guys go first if you want. Whatever.
Okay, fine. Lang can go last. Bennett, you can go first because you have been in here pulling double duty all week.
Oh.
So you get first. I'll
get
take
the
second.
first
Lang takes
pick.
third.
That's
and we are
fine.
drafting giants. And
Is it snake draft or no? Is it 1, 2, 3,
it's just
3, 2,
1, 2,
1?
3,
All right,
1, 2,
that's
3.
fine. Just need to know.
So Bennett with the first pick in
My
the giant
first
draft
pick,
in honor.
and why are we drafting giants?
We're drafting
Yeah.
giants in honor of the Grizzlies drafting a giant in Zach Edey.
Okay.
Okay. This one, the first pick is easy for me. It's my favorite giant, one of my favorite movies of all time. Actually, there's different versions of this movie, and I like all of them. I'm going to go with King Kong.
Wow.
I'm going to go with King Kong.
Not even on my list.
A surprise. Mine either.
I love King. Okay, so hot take.
This is such
My
a
favorite-
Cinema Bennett answer.
My favorite King Kong is the Peter Jackson King Kong, the one remember with Adrian
Not
Brody.
not the Jeff Bridges King Kong.
I love
Yeah.
that one too
Yeah.
from the 70s. I love all of them.
What
man.
about the
And
King
one
Kong?
from the
I thought you'd
30s,
like the King Kong versus Godzilla King Kong.
I liked that too.
So you're a big Godzilla
I'm
guy,
a big.
yeah.
I'm into the monster verse as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go King Kong with my first overall pick.
All right. I don't know where Lang's going to go with this, and Lang can get creative, so I'm not risking it. With my number 1 pick, I'm going to take greatest giant of all time, Willie Mays.
Oh.
Willie Mays just passed 4 home run titles, 4 stolen bases title, 1 batting title, led the National League 5 times apiece in OPS and slugging percentage, 3 times in triples, twice each in runs, extra base hits, and on base percentage, and 1 apiece in hits and walks. Give me greatest giant, Willie Mays in the giant
Second
draft.
best center fielder of all time.
Okay.
That's nice. Behind Andrew Jones. I'm going to go. I mean, like, how do you not the greatest giant? Andre the Giant is number 1. Like, how is that not everyone's number 1 pick? So I'm going Andre the Giant number one.
Okay, I don't know what to do now because I should have gone Andre the Giant first because I think I would have gotten King Kong if I would have waited for it to come back to me. But that's okay. I'm gonna go with. Oh man, there's so many good giants out there. Let me go with the. Let me go with. See, these are all gonna be freaking weirdo picks too. That's the problem.
Dude, man, be weird.
That's why I wish I would have done Andre the Giant first.
We want you to be weird.
Let's go with the baby from Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
Okay.
Yes. That's a great pick.
Let's go with the baby from Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. I don't know. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, but I remember loving it more at the time than the original Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And so I don't know why. It was something about the baby had giant snacks in his pocket when he picked up Rick Moranis and put him in his pocket in a big toy car that had become a life-size car because he got blown up. And he gets blown. Have y'all seen Honey, I Blew Up the Kid?
Yes. It's on my list. This is on my list.
The baby gets blown up and terrorizes the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Stomping around.
Yes.
Yeah, stumbling around.
That's a great one.
It's like a baby.
Okay, yep, that's one.
All
number
right,
2.
I'm very happy that you left me.
I don't know.
With
I
my
don't even know
number
his
2
name,
pick.
by the way. He's
It's
the
just the
baby
giant
from Honey, I
baby.
Kid. Giant baby, yeah.
I'm going to take the BFG, the big friendly giant.
The novel or the movie?
Excuse me? I'm taking the character. He exists in both worlds. He is the BFG.
Okay.
He is the big friendly giant, and he is a nice giant.
Yeah,
and
he's just kind of dumb, though.
He's sweet.
No.
Dumb does not have to. Sweet does not
Doesn't
equal
bring
dumb.
anything to the table. What's the big friendly
Friendliness.
giant?
Giants are scary. They're big. They
Are
can
they?
crush
Do
all
they
of
have to
us.
be?
And the BFG is a sweetheart. I love a nice giant. Give me the BFG, big friendly giant. Roald
All right.
Dahl created a classic. Thank you.
I like Roald Dahl. I don't like Mark Rylance, who played him in the movie.
I don't
Just
like the movie. I prefer
yeah.
the book to the movie, but I didn't want Bennett to make fun of me for saying, well, actually, the book is better than the movie.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go since I already picked. I'm gonna crush this draft. I'm gonna take for my second pick the greatest historical giant of all time, Goliath.
Okay.
Slayed by David, but
Sure was.
giant Philistine got hit with a rock,
Okay.
right space. But I mean, who's more famous than Goliath as a giant?
Great question. How many times do we use the cliche, David versus Goliath?
That's right. I'm going
Any
Goliath.
impact on history?
Yeah.
All right, Bennett.
Goliath got his ass kicked.
It was a lucky shot. It was a lucky shot.
You picked a loser. You get on me
picked
for
a
picking a
loser
dumb
giant.
giant. You picked a loser giant.
All right. Give me.
He picked King Kong and ended up. Well, never mind.
That's true. Yeah, well, he lost as well.
And he picked a baby.
He gained love along the way, though.
That
Give
was-
me.
yeah. That is ended up. Never mind.
Give me the Queen Alien from Aliens.
Whoa.
The sequel. Get away from her, you.
Wow.
No? Y'all don't like that one?
No, I do.
Okay.
All right.
All right, the Queen Alien from Aliens, directed by James Cameron. The
Yeah.
greatest alien movie of all time.
Starring Nepo baby Sigourney Weaver.
She's a great Nepo baby.
She is a great Nepo
She's a
baby.
great
I love
Nepo
Sigourney
baby.
Weaver, by the way.
Speaking of
Call
James
back.
Cameron, right now, Kate Winslet did a sit-down. I think it was with either Vanity Fair or Variety, and she goes through all of her great movies, and her conversations about Titanic are worth a watch if you are a
Right.
big Titanic person. So she calls James Cameron JC, which I'm like, oh, that's so cute. All right, with my next pick, give me Hagrid the Giant.
All right.
You're a wizard, Harry. I love Hagrid. He rides in on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
He's Harry's magical friend from the beginning. He's a solid one. And I think he's a sweet giant who cares for all of the beasts and the plants and everything in between.
Also kind of dumb.
He's not dumb.
He is.
Why do you call all the giants
He's
dumb?
the groundskeeper. They just make him live out in the back. Like they have to tell him what to do.
He's a giant. Like he can't.
Yeah.
Just like IMG Academy barely had a bed that fit Zach Edey, you think Hogwarts had a bed for Hagrid?
They gave him his own hut.
Yeah, his own place.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty nice.
We're doing a Harry Potter rewatch right now. When Noah's watching it for the first time, and he's
Oh, I love
5.
that.
He's 5.
Yeah.
It gets a little.
It
once
does.
Once you get past
a little
number
scary.
3, it starts getting a little.
What we did was I read the books out loud to my son, like when he was going to bed.
Yeah.
And we'd finish the book and then watch the movie.
Yeah.
So
how old was he when this happened?
About 5 or 6. We
Okay,
started
all right.
but I think if you read the books first, you kind of they know what's coming. It's not as
Yeah.
scary kind of in the movie.
Well, and Noah likes my kid's weird. He likes being scared for some reason. Like he's into Goosebumps, and he likes getting scared.
Show him Silence of the Lambs.
Like that's the thing is I have a bunch of horror movies, and he likes to look at. He doesn't want to watch them. He just wants to look at the DVD or the Blu-ray and me to explain what it's about. So yeah. All right.
All right. Well, since we're talking about horror movies and being scared and all that, and I've already got 2 of the greatest giants of all time on my team.
Okay.
I'm going to take another dumb giant, but one who is scary and maybe just misunderstood. Frankenstein.
That's a good one.
Frankenstein.
Why are so many giants dumb? Like I'm not gonna take
Frankenstein's
him.
barely a
person.
It's not really a person. I guess he is. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's
a monster.
Yeah.
He's just misunderstood.
Anyway, I'm going Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's a good pick. Bennett, what weirdo pick do you
God,
have?
mine are all going to be movies.
What other movies
too.
left?
I know, mine are all going to be movies. You got to give me Godzilla. You got to give me Godzilla.
Is Godzilla a giant?
Yeah, he's on my list.
I don't think that's just a big lizard. It's not a giant. A giant
I think
denotes
giant
some
can
sort of
be-
humanity to me, or some sort of
Willie
legs
Mays
and arms.
isn't technically a giant.
He has
He's
legs
just
and
a
arms.
giant. He does have legs and arms. Okay, this is an interesting question.
I guess Godzilla has legs and arms too.
Godzilla just has small arms.
Tiny
the
arms.
radiation turned him into a giant.
Yeah, I think he's a giant.
Yeah, he's
a
definitely
giant.
a giant.
Reptar.
Yeah. I love Godzilla. By the way, Godzilla -1 on Netflix. I recommend everybody watch it. You're gonna have to do subtitles. It's a Japanese film, but it is maybe the best Godzilla movie.
Okay. I can't believe this is still available for me to take, but I will take the Iron Giant, one of the sweetest, best
That had to be
animated
on
movies
Bennett's
of
list.
all time.
That was on your list.
I'm
wasn't it?
messing up because
Yeah.
I could have had the Iron Giant and Andre the Giant if I would have just done that first.
The great Vin Diesel, the voice of the Iron Giant. And if you want a movie
Is
that
that why
makes
he
you
just
cry,
grunts the whole movie?
Yes. I love the Iron Giant, though.
All right, Iron Giant number 4. I'm going to go as dip into the pop culture well, and as someone who hosts Cooking with Lang, we're going to go with the Jolly Green Giant.
Okay.
Ho, ho, ho. Like, what's more famous than what?
A staple in every household.
Yeah, it's like no giant's more famous than the Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah, if you don't have a can of Jolly Green Giant green beans in your house,
What are you even
who
doing?
are you?
Are you prepared for the apocalypse?
No, exactly.
You should have
He's
at
gonna save
least
us all.
5 cans of Jolly Green Giant in your pantry.
That expired 2 years ago.
Yeah, but he's
That
he's
doesn't really
protecting
expire.
it.
Yeah,
the Jolly
yeah.
Green Giant protects all things from
Sure.
expiring. I think so. Bennett, this is your last pick.
Oh, this is my last pick. Okay. I got a couple options here. I thought about going with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from
pretty
Ghostbusters.
good.
I'm a big Ghostbusters guy, but I think I'm going to go with, just because this is a sports show, I'm going to go with that dude from Happy Gilmore that beats the crap out of...
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that beats the crap out of... what's my guy's
Shooter
name?
McGavin.
Shooter, yeah.
He was also in the James Bond movies. The guy.
Richard
Yeah, he
Kiel.
was Jaws from
Yes.
James Bond, yeah.
Yes, Richard Keels is his name.
Give me him.
I
He's
like
a
that.
great
That's
giant.
a good pick.
Yeah.
Good giant. Okay, I'm very glad. But I cannot believe somebody in the chat guessed my final pick. I think that we need more women giants in the world. As you will notice on our list, all of these giants are male. We don't have a
Godzilla's
single...
a female.
Godzilla's a female?
I know, I just made that up.
Okay, I love this.
But
for
nobody
Godzilla.
knows. Like, it could be.
She's
Who
entering
knows?
her
That's
phenomenon.
true. We don't know that,
I am
actually.
going to take Allison Hayes' Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
Oh.
One of the first old movies I saw of that
Nice.
genre,
I like
and all
that.
women who are trying to get revenge on their cheating scoundrels of husbands should have the ability to grow into a 50-foot woman and ruin their lives.
That feels like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie.
They used to show it at MGM Studios in Florida. I forget what
Which is
it's
now
called
Disney.
now.
Hollywood
it's now Hollywood
Studios,
Studios. But when it was at MGM Studios and it was like very movie themed,
Yeah, they had the
they would
backlot
show
tour.
it in they had the backlot tour, and they had this restaurant. I think they still have
It's
it, the
still there.
drive-in
You
Cars
still, you
restaurant.
can still see that very
Amazing.
clip.
They would
Yeah.
show you the clip from Attack of the 50-Foot
Sci-fi
Woman.
drive-in theater.
I love that place. You could they had light up ice cubes that were
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, it's still there. It's still
Amazing.
rolling. Yep.
All right, your
All
final
right,
pick.
final
Glenn.
picks. So here's some of the ones that I didn't get to. You did Willie Mays. I was going to do Eli Manning as one of mine.
It was on my
Pass
list.
on him.
It just felt wrong.
The greatest Manning. I was going to do Giant Steps, the album by John Coltrane.
Okay.
One of the great American jazz albums of all
Great.
times. Paul Bunyan was on my list.
Paul Bunyan's good.
Robert Wadlow, the tallest human who ever lived, who's 8'11". Big Ripley's Believe It or Not guy. But I'm going to go, in the interest of diversity also, and gender diversity, with Zhang Ziyu.
What a pick! Lang wins the draft.
ZHANG ZYYU.
She's incredible.
For Kara in the booth. And she's the woman who, I think she's like 16, 17.
Yes.
She's from China, and she plays on the Chinese under 18 team.
Yes.
And she's like 2 feet taller than everyone else, and she has been just dominant. And FIBA put out clips of her just like catching in the post. She's like bigger than Zach Edey compared to the people she plays against.
She's 7'3".
7'3". And she's like 16 or 17.
She's 17 years old. She's 7'3". If you have not watched her, she is the tallest woman in the world, and she crushes everybody on a basketball court. It is one of the most fun things to watch. I haven't seen if she's able to play for the Chinese women's team at the Olympics. I don't know, but if she is,
Olympics,
I will sign up to watch those games immediately because it is a fascinating thing to watch. That's the only basketball player who gets taken on our list. I feel like we're around giants so much.
I thought about Boban because
I thought about Boban and Yao.
Yeah,
they feel like two special ones.
I thought about Yao also. Yeah. I mean, Shaq is probably the closest to like a real giant that I've ever been around, and I spent a lot of time with him. 7'3", 300 pounds, I think.
And he's
maybe 7'1", but yeah, he's just big. Like I remember the first time I shook Shaq's hand, and his hand was like, it was like a 8 times the size of mine, and you're like, what is going on? But yeah, I feel like we're around these tall guys all the time, and it sort of loses its novelty.
I agree. So it takes someone really tall, which is why we did this whole thing to begin with, because Zach Edey is someone who is really tall, who still has the novelty of being so tall that he can touch the rim, cut down the nets, do whatever. I did have the Empire State Building on my list, but the second you challenged Godzilla, I decided not to take a building. So
I was going to put an album out there, but
it could have gotten deep. Anyway, thanks, Lang, for joining us on this Friday. We won't see you next week because we're off next week for the 4th of July. So
shout out 4th of July.
Shout out
America.
We got to shout out America on this. Well, Team USA, the USA men's team lost in Copa America yesterday, and then that being the preamble for the debate. Yes. Their coach is the biggest winner of the debate last night because it immediately turned from.
He's gone. He's got to be gone.
Biggest winners from the debate last night is him, and then Kyle Filipowski.
Yeah, nobody was talking about that.
Nobody started talking about that.
And if hey, listen, because I didn't know if we were going to talk about this. I'm not going to.
I'm just throwing it out. We're not going to talk about all of the rumors. Just he fell a lot. Okay.
But if you get into the weeds and look at some of the rumors, what a weird story.
What a wild story. I think that I will fall on the reporting of whoever it was at ESPN, and I cannot remember which draft analyst said it. It might have been
Jonathan Givony.
Was it
the one
Givony
who
who said?
Yeah.
Okay, Givony brought up that as he was doing his draft interviews, there was some concern from teams about his older girlfriend, and that's how it was brought up. And then the internet did the rest. And his mom is on Twitter, his brother's on Twitter saying things, and he ends up being drafted by the Utah Jazz. And if you know the story, it's just a little too on the nose. It's a little too perfect for how it all works out for him, but one of the biggest falls of the NBA draft, one of the biggest surprises of the NBA draft and how everything turned out. So thanks, debate, for distracting everybody in a different way. I'm not going to thank the debate. There was nothing thankful about the debate. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up on this Friday with some new music Friday. We'll go through the newest things to listen to going into this weekend, and we'll get to the weekend. We'll be right back.
If you look at it, as far as the number 9 pick over the years, there's been some pretty good players that have surfaced at number 9. Of course, Dirk Nowitzki, who won a championship. There's been a lot of great guys, but who knows if there is a great guy in this draft.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I think we have the college basketball title futures. UConn's number 1.
I really like Houston. I'd have them winning it all, but you can't be giving Drake jerseys. What is wrong with you?
Maybe the Drake curse is stronger in college basketball.
How long has he been riding with Kentucky?
He wore an Alabama jersey and Saban retired.
The Odds Couple with Rob Fisher, Lang Whitaker, John Roser, and CJ Hurt live Thursdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
score. Look at the score he just did.
Hey, but look at the bench, though.
Look at number 3.
Right before I walked in the locker room, Danny Ainge pulled me to the side and said, hey, Tony Allen, come here. Let me give you a little basketball etiquette. When you're down 40, do not do an in-game windmill. It's just disgusting for the game.
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Now for a limited time, the new $1.99 crispy tender wraps are here at Sonic. Who could deny a crispy chicken tender with bold flavors like hickory barbecue and cheesy Baja? And we can't forget the crisp lettuce and melty cheese to make the perfect bite. Wrap yourself up with some TLC, tender, love, and chicken for only $1.99. Sonic $1.99 crispy tender wraps. Tax not included, limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
LifeCare Ambulance is proud to be an official partner of the Memphis Grizzlies and FedEx Forum. At LifeCare, they wear their hearts with pride. Their passion is their people. They want you to love what you do and where you do it. Their employee-driven culture encourages a healthy work-life balance and supportive work environment. They invest in your success and well-being so that you can provide the best care for the patients that they serve. Join the incredible team of EMTs and paramedics in Memphis, Nashville, and across the nation today. Learn more at lifecareamb.com.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
All right, welcome back. It is Friday, so that means we end with a little Music Friday, some things for you to listen to going into the weekend. The thing that stood out to me the most, one, Meg Thee Stallion dropped her 3rd studio album, and we'll get into that. 2, Camila Cabello dropped her new album. It's called CXOXO. I mean, it had a song that the first single that came off of it a couple months ago was a song called I Love It, which I hated. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. I talked about it on the show. I thought it was terrible. However, there actually are some good songs as I was going through this album. But the thing that stood out to me is that Drake is on 2 songs on this album. So one could say that this is Drake's first response to Kendrick Lamar. It is nothing to be in a response to Kendrick Lamar, and as Kendrick has continued to eviscerate Drake on all sides of everything. But Drake is on 2 of these songs on Camila Cabello's new album, and she said that she is frustrated, or that the wave of slander towards Drake is frustrating. And I would think that that makes a lot of sense, because if you're dropping a new album and you went to Turks and Caicos to make some songs with Drake, and everybody hates Drake right now, it automatically puts your album in a tough spot. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I like the album cover.
I like the album cover too.
That's pretty cool. What I don't understand the title.
CXOXO.
What does that mean?
Call it a vibe. I can tell you exactly what it means, Bennett. Call it a vibe shift or a reintroduction, or as Cabello cheekily called CXOXO, her hyper femme villain arc with dreamy production. There are odes to her tropical hometown as she recruits city girls to twerk out the sunroof on Collins Avenue for Dade County dreaming. She's covered in glitter and dressed for revenge on Pretty When I Cry, and tempting an ex on the scorching hot Uptown, which features Drake in peak Honestly Nevermind form.
That's a little too try hard for me. I mean, Megan Thee Stallion's new album is just called Megan. Like, like right to the point.
What happened to the good old days where we just use names?
Yeah.
Megan. And
Yeah,
it is
I
just
like
Megan.
that. Yeah.
I really like a couple of the songs on the Meg Thee Stallion album. It's definitely a shift, and this is Meg Thee Stallion's first album released under her own label, Hot Girl Productions. And I think there was some hope that it would be like full Hot Girl Summer, all Hot Girl Summer with a lot of bops for the summer season. I think there's a lot of depth in it where, you know, she comes to terms with fakes, and there's some potential digs at Nicki Minaj along the way. But the song that I absolutely loved upon first listen is Where Them Girls At. It's a hot girl summer anthem. Like, I know you're not going to get into the hot girl summer, but you can be adjacent to the hot girl summer.
Why can't I
I
get
really
into the hot
like
girl
that
summer?
song, and I really like the song that she does with Victoria Monet called Spin. And there's another one called Worthy that I really like. Those were the three that I pointed out from Megan. But I like your take that Camila Cabello could have just, kept it a little simpler. CXOXO. I mean, her name starts with a C. Last name starts with a C. XOXO is just
Camilla
hugs and kisses. Yeah,
Okay.
XOXO.
All right.
Gossip Girl.
Whatever.
I sign things XO sometimes. Not in a professional sense, but in a personal. Yeah, I'll be like, XO, night-night to my friends. I think girls use it more than the boys.
They clearly do.
Obviously.
Yes.
Shout out Randall in the chat who always sends me new music on a Friday, which I appreciate. He said you should check out the new Aaron Fraser single, and it is called Easy to Love. And then there is also a new Anderson .Paak song called Dance with the Devil, which he recommended. I have been tracking the Twisters soundtrack all summer long. We get a song every now and then, and we got our newest release on the Twisters album. This one is called Song While You're Away. Are you familiar with the Twisters album at this point, Bennett?
No, I'm not.
So, TLDR, because we went through this, I think, last week. A lot of, really Twister-themed songs, like Ain't No Love in Oklahoma, Ain't in Kansas Anymore, The Cards I've Been Dealt, Out of Oklahoma, Hell or High Water, Dead End Road, Tear Us Apart, Stronger Than a Storm, Chasing the Wind.
I would bet my house that
To a Twister?
I would bet my house to a Twister that there is either a Luke Combs or a Morgan Wallen song on this soundtrack.
I think there's a Luke Combs. Hold on. Keep going. Oh, no, you know what? There's not.
Neither of those guys are on this soundtrack.
No. There's Jelly Roll.
Well, then I just lost my home.
There's Benson Boone. I'm so
just
sorry.
bought that house.
You just moved.
Yeah.
This is so tough. What are you going to tell your
sucks.
wife? That you bet the house on
the
two
Twister
big
soundtrack?
names of country being on the Twister soundtrack?
Wouldn't be the worst bet I ever made.
Old friend of the show, Kane Brown.
Oh, is he a friend of the show?
No, we just had his ad for his Meteoric Rise
I've
tour
met him
for so
before.
long. Have you?
Yeah, I used to dabble in the country music business once upon a time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no, I met him when he was an up-and-comer.
Well, last week I I spoke the lyrics. I did spoken word poetry for the song that dropped last week, Ain't No Love in Oklahoma. This week it's Tyler Childers on Song While You're Away. And I'll just give you a little...
Tyler Childers?
Childers?
I believe it's Childers.
Like Ron Childers?
Yeah, I don't think it's Childers.
I don't know.
Who the hell's name is Childers?
It's spelled like Childers, Bennett. It's probably Childers.
I think
it's Childers, and I'm really embarrassed that I didn't know that. All right, Tyler Childers, Song While You're Away. Up in your nephew's room, playing on his cousin's guitar, I wrote a song for you. You have done drove off with everything I need, my box and my tumbleweed.
Lord have mercy. Wait, Lee says that Luke Combs is on the Twister soundtrack. I think you need to double check.
He's the first song on the Twister soundtrack.
Go!
You have your house.
My
you have your
house
house.
is saved.
That was on me. I scared you for nothing. Literally, the lead single on the album is Luke Combs.
I knew it.
Sometimes reading comprehension is hard, Sometimes I feel for the guys on the debate. I don't feel for anyone on the debate. They put themselves in those positions, but sometimes it's hard, man.
Yeah.
Just talking,
Yeah.
figuring things out on the fly. Your house is safe. Luke Combs is the one who sang Ain't No Love in Oklahoma.
Let's go.
Back to Tyler Childers/Childers. I picked it up on my way to Flagstaff years ago. I was hanging on to everything you had the grace to show. You were young and you were hungry. Lord knows I was hungry too. We were both flat out starving for something worthwhile to lose. I got a job as a cut man at a house just down the road. I had never been to town before. I didn't know a soul. I was young. I was hungry. Lord knows you were hungry too. We were both flat out starving for something worthwhile to lose. Are you interested? Will you go check out Tyler Childers' new song?
Probably not, but I will check out Twisters.
I know.
I'm excited about Twisters.
I'm very excited about
Twisters. I told you my
Twisters.
mom's favorite movie is Twister, the original.
I mean, I love the original Twister.
We had it on VHS.
I've been terrified of Twisters because of the original Twister. It's one of those things where I've never lived in Tornado Alley, but I specifically avoided taking jobs within Tornado Alley because I was so afraid from Twister as a kid. Things like that scar you.
My grandma's house was destroyed in a tornado.
Really?
Yeah, in Arkansas. Yeah, years ago. Yep.
Is she okay?
Mountain View. Yeah, she's passed years later. But
okay, I'm sorry for your loss, but I'm glad that it didn't happen via Twister.
Yeah.
That would be tough.
Yeah.
All right. Bennett, thanks for being here all week.
Hey, thanks
You're
for
the
having me. This
absolute
was
best.
a lot of fun.
I'll see you in like 40 minutes on the Gary Parrish Show.
That's right. We might have a big guest on the Gary Parrish Show
Fingers
today.
crossed.
TBD.
TBD for a big guest. It's not me. I'll come.
No,
up
we
and-
have two big. We'll have at least one big guest. We
I don't
might
know.
have two big
I'd
guests.
put me as like a medium guest.
No,
but
you're
you
a
have a
big
chance at
guest.
a really big guest on today's show. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back on Monday. CJ will return from his BBL. You'll get to see it in its most beautiful glory. And we'll see what else happens. NBA news starts drilling. We got free agency coming up on, and then Summer League will be here before we know it. So lots to talk about. We'll be back for a 3-day week next week. We will see you then. Have a great weekend. Bye.